Here are 3 budgets I recommend for first year electrical apprentices living in Australia. I've been using a variety of different power tool brands throughout my 5 years within the trade, and here's the best in my opinion. For a quick answer, go with the 18 volt 5-piece Milwaukee kit, swap out the circ saw with a multi-tool, and if you can, swap out the 18 volt impact driver for a 12 volt hydraulic surge impact with an extra battery. G'day, I'm Corey, a licensed electrician from Melbourne. Hopefully by the end of this video, it'll be clear as to what kit to go with according to your financial situation, and you can go out and buy your power tools. Just like the Apple ecosystem where you've got an Apple Watch, an Apple phone, an Apple laptop, an iPad, all that jazz, it's important to start off with the right tool brand ecosystem so that you're not constantly changing battery platforms. There are plenty of good power tool manufacturers out there, and I started off with Metabo, which you probably haven't even heard of, and I've also used Makita, I've used DeWalt, I've used Bosch, but in my opinion Milwaukee is the best, and to keep it simple I recommend you go with Milwaukee as well. Anyway, I have 3 budgets to suit your financial situation, plus a few extra power tools at the end if you're interested on what to get next. The prices unfortunately in this video aren't going to be very accurate because for one, the prices are constantly changing, the kits are constantly changing. There's always promos and deals going on. They're always adding extra shit depending on the amount of money you spend on these kits. But I guess I recommend just looking for the best deals at the moment and go to whatever store that's gonna sell the kit that you want the cheapest. Also, before I get into the budgets, if you're wondering whether you should go with 18 volt or 12 volt, I've actually added 2 options to each tier because the 12 volt system is honestly getting so good that it's genuinely competing with the 18 volt system. And it's cheaper. Maybe not so much if you're like a carpenter or you're doing more sort of heavy stuff, but for an electrician, personally I think the 12 volt system is fine. I've got a 12 volt surge hydraulic impact in my hand right now, and this thing is bloody awesome, but I'll go more into that later on in the video. Alright, first here, you wanna go with a Milwaukee 2-piece 18 volt kit, which comes with an impact driver and a chuck drill. This kit will set you back 560 bucks. I think you get 2 batteries and a charger with it. I don't know, like I said, things are always changing. And as for the 12 volt system, there's a 3-piece set you can get for $500. So that's what I mean. With a 12 volt system, you can get more tools for cheaper. So yeah, it's kind of hard for me to recommend one over the other. I personally started with the 18 volt system, and most of my tools are on that 18 volt system. However, after using this thing, it's been really awesome and it's so light, it's perfect for my tool pouch. So if you're someone who uses a tool pouch a lot, it might be worth just sticking with the 12 volt. But to make it as simple as possible for you guys, don't overthink it. Like if you go with 12 volt, be happy with your purchase. If you go with 18 volt, also be happy with your purchase. You're not gonna go wrong either way. And it comes with a reciprocating saw. I recommend, if you can, swap that reciprocating saw for a multi-tool because multi-tools are so convenient for our trade and you'll be using it a lot. Obviously, depending on exactly what you're doing, but I'm sure you'll get use out of it. Like even just cutting out power points rather than use a plaster saw, or if the plaster is fire rated and it's like that real thick stuff, using a multi-tool is so much easier. I'm also going to add an extra thing you can do when purchasing your kit is to see if you can swap the impact that comes with the kit with one of these surge hydraulic impact drivers. They do come in 18 volt and 12 volt. Second tier, you want to go with an 18 volt Milwaukee 4-piece kit, and pretty much the difference between this tier and the previous tier is you get an extra battery, you also get a rotary hammer drill, and you get an angle grinder, which are both super important for the trade, and you'll definitely need these power tools eventually. If you've got the budget, get the 4-piece kit. As for the 12 volt system, buy the first tier kit and then buy a hammer drill skin and battery on top of that, and probably go with like a 4 amp to 6 amp battery. I went with the 6 amp for my impact because I don't know, I just wanted the best and the longest lasting. But of course, buy within your means. And yeah, same thing with the surge hydraulic. If you can swap the conventional impact that comes in the kit with the hydraulic, that'll be preferable. Third tier, you're gonna wanna get a 5-piece Milwaukee kit. On top of everything you get in the second tier, you'll also get a circ saw, which I recommend you swap that with a multi-tool. As for the 12 volt system, get what I mentioned in the tier 2 section, Plus, you can get some of the extras that I'm about to mention. Okay, before I mention the extras, I'll quickly bring up the hydraulic surge impact in my hand and why I recommend it. Pretty much, I've been using just your stock standard impact driver throughout my entire apprenticeship and my 1 year as being a licensed electrician. And I swapped to this a couple of weeks ago because I wanted something a little bit lighter to fit in my impact holster on my tool belt. And yeah, I went with the best that they've got, which is the hydraulic surge. God, how many times am I gonna say hydraulic surge? All right, I'll try and stop saying it. But yeah, even after 2 weeks of using this on the job, it has made driving fasteners and loosening and tightening screws so much easier. Again, I won't go too in depth as to why that's the case, but my next video will probably be entirely dedicated to impact drivers. But all I can say is this feels great when you're screwing in junction boxes and power points and you're driving self-tapping screws. Something to do with how the torque operates on this thing is just amazing. Okay, so the extra power tools that you might want to get eventually, which is definitely not essential now, and is more of a luxury while you're an apprentice. But if you can save up for it, you'll really stand out. First thing on the list is the Milwaukee soldering iron, which is a part of the 12-volt system. And this was my first 12-volt power tool, and it is so easy to use when you're soldering LED strips or earth cable or anything that requires solder. This thing is great. Next is a torch. Not so essential because everyone just whips out their smartphone. In most of the cases, that'll give you all the light you need. But at the same time, if you don't want to drain your phone's battery, a torch might be worth it. Also look into a head torch, especially if you're doing a lot of like domestic stuff and you're up in ceiling spaces or under the house. A head torch is so useful. Next here is a laser level. Now the A grade you're working with will probably have a laser level, so you'll most likely use theirs. These things can be quite expensive. You can get a Milwaukee laser level that's a part of the 12-volt system. I didn't, I just got one that comes with a stock standard rechargeable battery. Since I bought it, which was at the start of the year, it hasn't ran out of charge. But it really depends on the work you do. If you're doing a lot of downlight cutout, this thing is so convenient. And the last extra on the list is the Milwaukee vacuum. And I'm sure I'm missing a lot of other power tools, but this video would go on forever if I mentioned all of them. So we'll just end it here on the vacuum. Yeah, I'm sick of using other people's vacuum cleaners or just my dustpan and broom. Like, I need a vacuum, considering I do a lot of service work and work in buildings that are already completed. Make sure I don't leave a mess at the end of the day because Sparkies are known to make a mess. And I want to get rid of that cliche. I guess the best takeaways I can give you is to look for the cheapest deals you can get. Go with the 5-piece kit if you can afford it. The more tools you buy in bulk, the cheaper it's going to be overall because you're going to need these tools anyway. So I do recommend going with the 5-piece kit, but at the same time, I understand if you're a first year apprentice and you literally have no money and your boss or the A grade you work with keeps telling you to buy a power tool, you may want to just buy something in the cheap ass tier or even just an impact driver on its own with a battery and charger. Like I've been saying, whatever fits your financial situation. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video. You can check out my other videos here, comment away any other ideas. Thanks for watching, cheers.